minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Hey everybody, Steve here, and this little video we're going to talk about reading the Bible in chronological order. Now before we get into that, let's go back in time to when we were in elementary school or whenever we learned to read and read books like, the Three Little Pigs or The Little Engine That Could or whatever. We start at the beginning, we move through the events as they occurred, and then you get to the end. So in other words, you can see the big picture of the entire story of that book. And this follows us all through school. We start at the beginning and then we read to the end in a chronological manner. Then, when we get to Christianity and we get to the Bible, we don't do that. Well, mostly we'll tell people, read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and so that way, which is good, but then usually we'll do Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and then we'll go back to the Old Testament, we'll do Psalms and Proverbs, and then we'll go to maybe Acts, and then we'll go to something else, and then we'll go to the Old Testament and Genesis, and we just keep going back and forth and back and forth. And I think by doing that, a lot of people miss the big picture of the Bible, and it also tends for people to take things out of context. So maybe if you haven't, and I haven't, I'm going to give it a shot to read the Bible in chronological order. And I found a couple of websites that might help out in doing that, to give us a kind of a reading plan to get through the Bible in chronological order. But anyway, got some clips coming up, so let's take a look. Here's another link to a chronological Bible reading plan, and this happens in 61 days. It's a lot of reading, but it's something that might help you out. And again, it's in chronological order. I'll post the link in the description box because it's really hard to find on this BibleGateway.com site. Anyway, as we look, we see that we have day 1. You would read Genesis chapters 1 through 3, and that deals with the creation and the fall of Adam and Eve. You have day 2, you'd read Genesis 12, 15, and 22, which talks about Abraham and Isaac. And then day 3, which has Job, the story of Job. And then Moses, the law, the instructions, the journey to the promised land. And it goes all the way down until you hit the New Testament and ends up at Revelation. So anyway, this might be a helpful tool if you want to read the Bible in chronological order, and so you can keep the story straight and not take things out of context. Anyway, I hope this helps. Okay, here's another website that we can look at that might help some people when we're talking about reading the Bible in chronological order. It's BibleYear.com, and you can read the Bible in 1 year, or less if you double up on your reading each day. It has 5 different reading plans and over 50 translations. And basically those are from beginning to end, which you can read from Genesis to Revelation. They have historical, but since a lot of people have problems with the actual dates of when certain books of the Bible are written, I'm not going to go for that one. And then you can read the New, then the Old Testament, the Old, then the New Testament. But what I'm interested in is the chronological option. In other words, read the Bible as its events occurred in real time. For example, Job lives sometime after the beginning of creation in Genesis 1, but before Abraham was born in Genesis 12. As a result, the book of Job is integrated into the book of Genesis. And I think by reading the Bible in a chronological order, we'll be able to keep the story straight, and it'll help people not take things out of context. In other words, you'll be able to see the big picture. Anyway, let's scroll down and take a look at the different translations. We choose your favorite version in the reading plan below. For example, we have the 21st century King James Version, from beginning to end, chronological, historical, new then old, or old then new. They have the American Standard, the Amplified, English Standard, King James Version, NIV, New Life, Message, and Young's Literal Translation. But for this little example, we're going to go for the King James Version and go over and click Chronological. And what pops up, it tells us step 2 is to choose a starting date. So in other words, let's say you want to start on January 1st. And here's what it comes out to, step 3. Now you could probably cut and paste this to a Word document. But anyway, here's the King James Version in chronological order. And as we saw on January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, you would read Genesis chapters 1 through 3, 4 through 7, 8 through 11. Then on January 4th, it goes to Job 1 through 5. January 5th would be Job chapters 6 through 9, and it continues on, all the way down to Revelation, and of course, until December 31st. If you wanted to read the Bible in 6 months, you just double up on the reading for each day. I hope those two websites will help you out if you're looking to read the Bible in chronological order. And I think it'll help a lot of people, and I think it will me as well, to keep everything in order and in perspective and to not take things out of context. And I wanted to leave off with reading a little bit from Psalm 119, verses 9 through 16. How can a young man keep his way pure? By living according to your word. I seek you with all my heart. Do not let me stray from your commands. I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Praise be to you, O Lord. Teach me your decrees. With my lips I recount all the laws that come from your mouth. I rejoice in following your statute, as one rejoices in great riches. I meditate on your precepts and consider your ways. I delight in your decrees. I will not neglect your word. And I think that's kind of important because in these days we're seeing lots of false teachers and false prophets, and we have to know God's word. Because if we don't know God's word and somebody comes along and teaches a different message, we won't know that it's different. So anyway, I hope this helps. Take care. God bless.